Hello, my name is Kayla Samnath, and this is Presentation 7 for Info 266. Today, I will be talking about the Antioch Public Library located in Contra Costa County in California. I'm going to start off today with some general information about the Antioch Public Library and the community in which it serves. Antioch, California, zip code 94509, is home to about 62,000 people. There are two schools located right across the street from the public library. One is a middle school, the other is a high school. About 2.3 miles away is a junior college, so the public library serves students of all kind. The public library itself is housed on an 11 square foot space. The library has recently been remodeled and offers plenty of space for patrons. New materials arrive about every week in various formats. There's also the Friends of the Library, which is an organization that sponsors programs of all ages, which is housed within the library itself. There's a growing Spanish language collection and great projects that assist with adult reading needs. The library offers free access to the internet and the catalog. The library serves a very diverse community. Now that we understand a little bit more about the community and the library itself, let's discuss the collection. There are over 600,000 items in the adult collection and over 500,000 items in the children's collection. The electronic book collection has been growing and is now at over 200,000 items. The young adult collection is sitting at 72,000 items in the collection. The library has more than just books for checkout. There are 88,000 items in the video materials collection, as well as 71,000 items in the audio materials collection. Throughout the semester, we have been asked to analyze these libraries through many aspects in order to gain an understanding of the collection's strengths and weaknesses. Gaining this type of understanding gives us insight on how we can improve upon the existing collection and determine positive directions in which we hope to grow. I chose to focus on the adult fiction section, seeing as the median age of Antioch, California is around 36 years old. There is a large population of adults in which rely on this public library for their information needs. In analyzing this one section, it became apparent what was lacking here, which brings into question the other collections. Perhaps these same problems can be found in the others, such as the children's collection or even the young adults. If you refer to the current slide, there is a brief breakdown of the adult fiction collection housed at the public library. There are three major factors that I have taken into consideration for this evaluation on the collection. I evaluated physical condition, accessibility, and content. Physical condition consists of book binding, age, cover, and pages. For CDs and DVDs, the condition of the disc is taken into consideration. Does it have scratches? Has it even been through a disc repair before? Does the actual disc play? What is the quality of the audio or the visual? Accessibility consists of length of the loan period, interlibrary loan waiting time, and owning multiple copies. For downloadable or internet materials, I looked at working links, file sizes, as well as what programs are needed to download these materials. Lastly, and most important in my opinion, is looking at the content. Content evaluation includes the relation of the collection to the community, popularity of authors and titles, the variety of the collection, and its size. Taking all these into consideration, it becomes clear that the Antioch Public Library has some room to grow. There are out-of-date materials, there are some broken links, and materials that are in very poor condition. This calls for some serious action in terms of weeding, growing, and maintaining. That being said, I would like to discuss some of the strengths that the Antioch Library has. One major thing that the Antioch Public Library has is great programs that it offers to the community. There are story times for parents and children, anime clubs, computer clubs, book clubs, and learning to read and learning English classes. The library offers plenty of formats of its materials, starting from physical all the way to downloadable electronic materials. Despite these strengths, there are some obvious weaknesses, which was identified by the analysis of the adult fiction section. The adult fiction section could have used improvement, so this reflects on the other collections as well. This is ultimately a true reflection of the library budget. The library budget has a large impact on what types of materials and what materials the library can gather, and it has a large impact on the community in which the library serves. Ultimately, there is room to grow, which is both a strength and a weakness. Our community is ever changing, and so information needs will always be shifting. In a sense, the library collection will never ultimately be complete. Growing and continuing the collection of materials will only strengthen the Antioch Public Library and will only make the impact on the community that much more meaningful. So, let's take a look at the budget. If you look at the current slide, you can see a breakdown of the yearly budget for the Antioch Public Library. From 2015 to 16, there was a decrease in the budget for the adult nonfiction materials by $2,000. However, reference services saw an increase in the budget by $700. In order to perhaps grow some collections which were found to be less than desirable, for example, the adult fiction materials, it may be a good idea to allocate at least $400 from the reference services budget and put it into developing the adult fiction collection. Using these funds will allow the library to legitimately assess the full collection and assist in clearing up shelf space and add more meaningful items to the collection. Within at least 2 years, the adult fiction section will begin to be up to date. The collection will then truly start to reflect the community in which it serves. If the goal is to grow, weed, and then maintain collections, then it is important to understand the selection requirements practiced by the Antioch Public Library. You can see on the current slide a list of selection criteria used by the Antioch Public Library. Some of the key criteria used would be appropriateness of format, availability, local interest, and the reputation of the source. The selection criteria for electronic materials requires more than the physical in-house collection. Aside from these general criteria listed on the current slide, there are other areas like user interface, technology, vendor considerations, and the library webpage to take into consideration. User interface means, is the website easy to use? Is it straightforward? Can a novice or an expert navigate it? Technology involves remote access. Do users all have simultaneous access to it? Is it a reliable resource? Vendor considerations involves choosing reputable companies. They've got to have good customer service. They might offer training, but one thing is that they definitely have to be known within the library setting. Lastly, there's the library webpage. This should definitely not have any advertisements. It should be clear that it's not trying to sell anything to any students. There should be a lot of free information and free resources available to the students on this webpage. How do libraries utilize these mentioned criteria? How do they even select the materials in which to scrutinize over? Well, this is achieved through the Library Acquisitions Department. They are responsible for selecting and purchasing the materials and resources. The Antioch Public Library uses the following acquisition methods in developing their collection. There are standing orders. These types of orders are for materials that are in high demand. Few examples of these are series paperbacks, travel books, exam books, computer books, and even audio books. Next, there is centralized orders. These orders are primarily for new releases, foreign language, large type, and audiovisual materials. Next, there's discretionary community library orders. These orders typically concentrate on the community's most pressing and unique information needs, usually use local funds. Resources typically contain nonfiction, reference, and subject refurbishment orders. There's also special community library orders. These are very similar. These orders are generally unique. They meet special needs or a specific defined local purpose. In terms of gifts that are given to the Antioch Public Library, they have the possibility of becoming a part of the general collection. However, materials will go through the same selection criteria that I mentioned above. They will be evaluated and they will then be chosen to add into the collection or not to add into the collection. This is generally how libraries grow and expand their collections. This is how they acquire materials and essentially how they decide what materials they will make available to the community. Throughout the semester, my understanding has grown so much about the Antioch Public Library. Mapping the collection allowed me to see the flaws in their materials. Then assessing their budget opened up new ideas about how the collection can be improved. Understanding the selection criteria and the acquisitions process allows us to see how the library is making their choices and the reason as why they have what they have. It is my suggestion that a committee form and start to revise, develop, and define the selection process further, clarifying needs and perhaps redefining some of the selection criteria will allow the collection development team to better serve the community. It can be determined that many public libraries need to improve on connection development. Many libraries offer the same things such as electronic books, databases, RSS feeds, social media, and podcasts. There's also wiki pages. There are really great newspapers and magazines made available online for free also. We've got a lot of databases, we've got a lot of electronic books. A few public libraries have even made mobile hotspots available for patrons to check out, as well as iPads, Kindles. This is not a luxury that all libraries have, though, especially due to the budget issues. Another area to grow in for the public library is in their environmental scanning. Some libraries do not have accurate census data. Therefore, the institution doesn't really meet the information needs of the community. The Antioch Public Library needs improvement on their foreign language sections as well. There is a very large Hispanic and Asian community here in which the collection does not reflect that. So perhaps some unique environmental scanning and community analysis can be done in order to achieve the information needs of the community. There's also been a lot of discussion about outsourcing and the major impact that it's had on libraries. Some libraries allow vendors to make the selections for their collections, and others will allow vendors to handle the processing of the materials. This can save the library a lot of money and perhaps alleviate their short-term budgetary issues. However, some collection development librarians have warned that this presents a problem with intellectual freedom and what the library stands for. Vendors may have data available about the region in which they are selecting for, but the in-house staff knows their patrons the best. The staff knows their community, they know who they help on a daily basis. So they have a lot of insight to offer. The Antioch Public Library has a lot of room to grow. However, this should not overshadow what leaps and bounds they have made to adapt to new technology. Despite a constant shrinking budget, they are still striving to serve their community the best way they possibly can. Thank you very much. This has been a presentation about the public library located in Antioch, California by Kayla Samnath.